Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? Ah, Fayala Fuerza, you are so cool and crazy. Um, we got a really cool montage training episode this week, and I think that not only with the mechanic in the background doing his thing, which really saved the other aspect of the show of other characters being left behind and very quickly being useless. I think that's one of the most things I stress the most with stories nowadays is having characters that have really cool concepts, but they usually fall to the wayside because they're just not needed anymore. They just become these people that are friends or people that can boost you up for a little bit, or the best case scenario, people that can take out the small fries while you have to go and fight a boss. So that has been used time and time again, and it is kind of lame. But at the same time, it's understandable because sometimes it's just really hard to give as much credence to side characters that you do the main one. And as you guys are seeing more and more, it seems like Arthur landed real close to that main character Lane, with him not ever being able to uh, fall behind, our main character. He's never so back that it doesn't seem like they're even in competition with each other anymore. They're about right next to each other now, and because of this new power up, excuse me, our character who can freaking fly like a dang jet engine is now better, like he's stronger. So they blatantly made him much stronger than Arthur this week, and I think that's for a good reason in the case of his motivation and his drive compared to Arthur. Not only that, we can still say that Arthur might not be that much weaker than him because of the donkey. He actually came to accept that whatever, weird thing was between them, and, they're not. He's so weird. Whatever has happened between them and is the reason why he got a little bit stronger, he's not, dang Goku, he's not gonna allow that to not be like to be forgotten pretty much. Like he's not just gonna erase that memory out of his head just because he's a donkey. Um, so that just goes to show you that even he got some growth out of that. Like it doesn't need to be literally a horse. It could be a donkey, and you can still see it as a Pegasus. So that was pretty funny and good on him. But like I'm saying, he's doing the same, almost the same training as our main character, and our main character already winds up finding his finishing move, mainly because of a doctor coming over, the guy who is working with Joker. So I don't know how much we can really trust him. I'm glad that the other captain, the girl who more or less is just worried about her boo thing, she's just worried about old boy. And if anybody joins up on the A squad and gets that much closer to him, including knowing about his connection to the burst link, you shouldn't be letting just anybody near him to get that much easier access to it to take him out, right? So that would be a finger that they point at the squad more than anybody, for just not doing some background checks or keeping an eye on him. And like he says this week, after they ask him that question, is, oh, he hasn't done us wrong yet. It's like, yeah, what a beautiful word to use, yet. Um, but also, he's one of these characters that are in the background talking about we're the champions of justice. Like, really, bro? You're the champion of justice? The guy who's using like this or messing with the same creatures that were being used to make infernos, and you made infernos, you know, like, interesting. What kind of justice are you trying to spout about? Because I'm interested to see if you are the true bad people of the show as of now. But with all that being said, everybody, we definitely got some great stuff with Fire Force this week. Um, I don't know if anybody liked the training montage, like if they care for this type of stuff, but to think that they're going to be going in the front line all the time from here on out is clear, and because of that, it's nice to see that they're not just going to be like, oh yeah, we can send them out because they have the experience, they have everything, which they have almost everything, but the experience in like hand-to-hand combat. So to see them getting worked out by the strongest hand-to-hand combat, or just the most combat uh, proficient person in the Fire Force, it's awesome to see, and I definitely love the whole uh, looking at why he's doing his fingers in such ways and stuff like that. So the weird part is how fast he grasped it. Like he's like, oh, okay, I'll just squeeze this finger to the left, and okay, I sense my key. Like, you know, he must have been filling and doing his key longer than he's known. Like he was just doing it and not knowing. Or, for instance, once you do this stance, it triggers. So, for instance, Black Clover. Yami, I think Black Clover is like a worse example of this. Instead of him giving Asta like a stance and being like, you need to stand or do a certain technique with your one finger over the other and focus, all that type of stuff, he was just like, oh, okay, Asta, sit there and sense it and feel it. That's that guy's key. Now follow it. Like that was about it. And this is a technique that's been passed down, which Yami did say it was a technique that's, you know, from where he's from, but it was just him explaining what he should be feeling for, and then that was about it. This is, you know, an actual fighting style that not only is incorporated, uh, it's incorporated for the feeling or like the gathering of ki, but it's also literally a fighting stance, like the bear claw to the tiger scratch. That wasn't a real one, but you know what I'm saying. Like everything, all the formations that they're making with their hands when you do the stance that this guy does is actually something you can use in martial art combat. So I don't know. I thought that was a much more interesting take on ki for them to kind of just throw ki out of there out of nowhere, where you have fire and we have all these third generation, first generation, second generation. Now there's just ki out of nowhere, and once he accepts it, it makes him powerful. So that would have to mean anybody who starts to look into ki can get as powerful, if not just a little bit more powerful as a whole. So why didn't he teach Arthur? You know, why didn't he say, Arthur, you need to grab your sword and fold your finger over the other finger? Nah, but he did explain that what Arthur does is already deadly. Like everything Arthur does is literally a finishing move. He just has to swing the sword in a different way and land, you know. So I'm really feeling Fire Force. It did take a little bit for me to truly be like, okay, this show knows what it's doing, and the story's going to definitely be the only saving grace. To now where they're training them, getting these characters actually more focused and or like dedicated to their weaknesses. Um, it will make more sense when they just show up out of nowhere and they can bop some of these people that literally have to live their whole entire lives fighting, or at least their whole life is evolved around crime and stuff. Like look at the people who the brother has on his squad. All of those people have to be ready for death at any time, simply because they're on the wrong side of, you know, the Fire Force, which is the police of fire, you know. So you're always on the bad end of the public and stuff. So they literally are living that life, and this kid just stepped into it. So we'll see how this goes. We still got the end of this first season to see how it plays out. And I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be mad if it comes back with a second season with our main character getting his finishing move and it being quite a fast one in the case of if the captain didn't know it was coming and what he should be looking for, which we got to remember, he still has to slowly put the finger underneath the thumb and focus and do all that and hope that his brother doesn't absolutely blitz and knock him out again like he did when all he had enough time to do was raise his arms to ask for a hug. Like, you think he had enough time to fold that finger? Well, you better be able to move that finger as fast as you move once you get the key focused in. So there's a lot of potential in the show, but I do feel like that's going to be a shortcut. Just because he can fold his finger underneath his thumb, he'll be able to catch his brother at some time. But to think that he's going to be able to do it all the time uh, and fast enough, like when he's not in that form, not in that speed mode, how is he going to be able to get it off if his brother's good enough to read that? So let me know what you guys are feeling on Fire Force. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I definitely want to hear from you guys about anything in the comments down below. So with all that being said, take care and peace.